Welcome back to the Wolf of Queen Street. Welcome back to the latest episode on YouTube and as well as an audio podcast. Today's episode is brought to you by the Dark Heart Grooming Company. Skincare for men, only using organic, honest, New Zealand native ingredients, and you can find them on Instagram on the Dark Heart Grooming Co. Next time you place an order, make sure you tell them the Wolf sent you. But today I'm joined by Josh Lewthwaite. And I hope, Josh, I apologize if I pronounced it incorrect. I had to make sure on that interesting last name. I actually met Josh about a month, it would have been more than a month, at the Gareth Edwards tire flipping event.
Yeah.
And he was sitting there standing. I was one of the other people. I didn't know too many people, and I went up to Josh, introduced myself, and I said, "Hey, I'm me. Who are you?" And we had a bit of a discussion, and what caught my ear straight away is I'd seen something through Gareth's social media that there was a guy that was crazy enough that was doing these monthly challenges, something that I thought I could do last year before my health came into question, of doing something crazy every month differently. And I'd seen you skydiving, you had walked for 24 hours or a 100-kilometer walk and everything else. So Josh, firstly, welcome. It's crazy. Welcome to the show. Thanks so much for being here today.
Yeah, no, thank you for having me. Yeah, that chat that we had was very, just, those kind of things. You just have a chat with that person. And then I found with us, it just got deeper and deeper. It just progressed. I was like, okay, I can see with this guy, we'll probably have some pretty good chats. Yeah. So I was 100% spot on.
No, that's awesome. So take the listeners that are listening and watching today at the moment, talk us through that initial thing about you doing this monthly challenges and why that started and reasons behind it.
Yeah, so if you haven't heard of a guy called David Goggins, give him a search. I mean, he'll change your life.
If you haven't heard of David Goggins, you're not allowed to watch this show. So fundamentally, right? There we go. It's come on plenty of times, and you should bloody know who David Goggins
watch David Goggins. Take this as the final warning. So David Goggins, I came across him from Joe Rogan podcast. Joe Rogan, big fan. I think he does a great job, and especially on the YouTube series, discussing philosophies, ideas, things that you never thought existed. One example being the documentation of the Nazis escaping Germany and going to, I believe it was, where'd they go? I think they went to Chile, and they had whole villages in the Chilean mountains that are all German. German is the native tongue. So watch some Joe Rogan podcast. But on that, there was a guy, Jesse Itzer, probably pronounced that wrong, and he went and did a walk. Actually, it wasn't a walk. He was in a team, 4 people or so, and each person had to run a mile. And 1 mile, next team member, a mile. 24 hours, how far can the team go? And there was a guy there, David Goggins, no teammates.
And he just ran.
He just wanted to take everybody on and to, outrun them. And Jesse was in this place where he was in a rut. He had to get out of it. And afterwards, he contacted David Goggins and was like, look, whatever you got going on to do something like that, I want some of that in my life.
I want that Kool-Aid. I want that Kool-Aid.
Yeah, give me some of that. Like, you found something in life that not many people have. You crazy. So met up with him and ended with him inviting David Goggins to live with him for 30 days. Whatever you got going on, teach me it. And for every day for 30 days, he did something absolutely horrible. If it was raining, they'd go for a run. There was a weather warning, great, go for a run. Jump in the ice lake, sauna, burpee tests in the middle of a meeting, and this dude's very high up. From that, I wanted some of that. I wanted, same as Jesse. Jesse wanted some of that. I want some of that. And David Goggins, started looking into him. He says to go through physical pain, you achieve mental growth. Building calluses, as you do on your hands from weights, calluses on the mind. And my good friend Oliver Such was like, look, let's do something. And we came up with a 100-kilometer walk with no training, month's notice. So that's where it came from. And that was life-changing.
Because you guys, I mean, I looked at some of the social media. If you go into Josh, and he'll give you his handles later on, you can see some of the photos. You guys just mapped out a route locally within Auckland, obviously, at the moment. And when I was speaking to Josh and just met him, and it was quite a funny moment, you guys got lost
Yes.
on your own 100k route.
Yes.
Now, look here, you're doing a 10k run, you're doing a 20k run, by all means, 1k or half a k loss is not going to change your world, right? You're doing a 100k walk and you get lost, that's going to hurt like a bitch. So
the timing of it was so bad as well, so we, as you mentioned, we made up the route. You might have heard of the Oxfam. Oxfam is 100k walk, it's done once a year or run.
Four team members.
Yeah, and you had to raise a certain amount of money and so on. Well, we were like, well, a lot of people can say they did the Oxfam, but who said they could do this? So we're like, we just made one up. So if you're familiar with the Auckland region, we went from Gulf Harbour's Shakespeare Regional Park to Browns Bay to Devonport to Hobsonville, got lost. And Hobsonville was about 2 a.m. So we've been up, we started 9 a.m. It's now 2 a.m. from walking. Got lost, had to maps it. This is a funny thing, the maps took us the most hilly way.
Someone had the wrong setting.
It was bad. And then went to Te Atatu, and from Te Atatu to Mount Eden.
100 k's.
Yeah, and under 24 hours.
Well
so
done.
a lot of people questioned, which was a lot of fun. People questioned, you can't walk 100k without training.
Yeah.
Okay. This is going
to be fun, right?
This is going to be great.
I bet you I'm going to do it, please.
Yeah, and then we said, okay, not only that, we're doing it in 24 hours. And we did it and it worked out. It was like 23 hours and 41 minutes.
Yeah, awesome.
With a few hiccups. Yeah, that's a story for a more private time.
Yeah.
It was pretty brutal.
Oh, man, that's crazy, And then straight away, I think it was that end of the last year? The timing for that one?
That was... When was that?
I think it was definitely 6 or 9 months ago.
Yeah.
And then I saw again, then you wanted to go do something petrified, you jumped over an airplane.
Yeah, so after doing that 100k, we found afterwards, absolutely invincible, physically broken, but beyond broken, I'd say. There's some funny videos of that, but mentally, don't take me on, I'll take you out.
Yep.
Like, I can do anything.
Yep.
From that, I was like, well, that feeling's not going to stay.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to go as you start getting comfortable into everyday life, the same surroundings. Right. So if we did something once a month, then that's going to continue that frame of mind. Yep. So the following month, we just got in the car at 3 a.m. It's a bit of a story here. I'll try and keep it concise, or I will keep it concise. We got up 3 a.m. in Auckland.
Yep.
Exactly a month later, we drove to Mount Maunganui. We got there for the sunrise, and we had McDonald's at about 4 a.m.
Healthy.
Very nutritious. Yeah, straight into it, right? Healthy. From there, we were like, right, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
And if you're familiar with the Mount Maunganui area, I was like, well, let's go to Papamoa. Mm-hmm. Let's walk along the beach from Papamoa to Mount Maunganui. Mm-hmm. After we get to the mount, we'll go up and down the mount twice. We'll then go around it, and then walk back along the beach to Papamoa where the car's parked. I'm
getting tired thinking about it.
Well, so we were thinking, so this was an interesting thought process. We've already walked 100 kilometres.
Yeah.
This is nowhere near 100. It wasn't even half. Easy, we could do that. Yes, it's on the beach, which makes it hard to walk on. Yes, it's up and down a mountain, but what if we did it with no food? Mm-hmm. And we came up with that when we got from Papamoa to the mount, we'll stop and get food. And I was like, well,
let's not.
Based on that 4 a.m. meal, let's do the whole thing. And it was so much harder than the 100k.
Because there's no supplements, there's no energy, nothing, right?
Nothing. And we were drinking water. We're not that crazy. But when we got to Papamoa, Mount Maunganui Beach, going to walk back, I was like, I'm over this. And at the 100k, I never had that.
Yeah.
I never had that moment of I'm over it. And that walking back, it was now sunny. It started off raining. Mm-hmm. It's now sunny. And you're walking on the surface, your ankles are not happy with you. Nothing's happy with you, in fairness, but especially the ankles. And everybody around you is having fun.
And you're hating it.
And you're in this absolute pain, back sore, you're hungry, and there's no support crew, it's just us. We don't know anybody else down there. And we're walking on the beach, and everybody around you is with their family. They're laughing, they're in the beach, they're jumping in the water, there's dogs running around, people walking with friends, and with it being a beach and the curve, you actually cannot see the finish. You think you see it, you get there, no, it's around the corner. That really messes with your head. And then the month later, we did a skydive, and I hate heights. Yeah.
How was that?
Best experience of my
life. Best rush.
Best experience.
I still want to jump out. It's definitely on my list to do, and as well to get out of the plane. And I can imagine I've actually gone twice and got cancelled on the tarmac. I've actually walked up to the plane as part of an event, local event. They were going to throw me out to jump into the event 2 years in a row. And after the second year of it happening, I said, no, that's it. For like mentally, because you literally go to the plane, climb in, and they're like, sorry, the weather's too bad. And you're just like, oh, so prepared, And then I said, no, I'll wait a few more years.
Can I propose a public call out of setting a date when you're going to do it? Like right now?
How about this? We'll discuss a date offline, off the podcast, but I'll agree on it. The reason why we can't set a date right now on the live session, I got to make sure I pay attention to my health.
Yes, that's what I'm feeling with.
How about we say the next 6 months?
Done.
Before autumn next year, which is, what's it, March, somewhere around there?
Yes.
So before March 2020, myself and Josh and whoever else is crazy enough want to come and join us, how about we do a shout out to Gareth? And say, Gareth Edwards, the better entrepreneur, you can come and join us. You can't get out of this one.
You are joining
us as well. Anyone else in Auckland that would love to come and join us, let's do the session, right? We jump out of, we can go locally.
My heart's already oh, goodness.
So yeah, there we go. Great. So obviously, you got through that moment as well.
Yeah.
Through this whole process, me learning a lot more about Josh and everything else. I noticed that over the last couple of months, Josh was, trying to push on his social media, just talking about looking at oneself and one's inner self and mental strength as well, doing really good sessions. And then it was recently as well that you went a weekend retreat, like a de-technology or untechnology retreat to find oneself. Which was great, and I can see from that moment of when you've gotten back, your direction has changed and your focus has changed, and what you're trying to achieve in yourself and in the world has definitely changed from that moment. So take the listeners through the reason why you wanted to go do that, or if it was just a whim, and then what was that moment?
Yes, so I've always had this philosophy in why should I go through the hard yards in terms of learning and failing, failing, when you can have a coach, a mentor who's been there and done it.
Yep.
And they can guide you. And from that, I have my own coach business, but also mindset.
Yep.
A lot of people, they may have a business coach and they grow, but mentally, do you have somebody looking out for your family through that process? Ensuring that you're keeping that balance, ensuring that because you're very vulnerable when you are in that environment, and having somebody who's there to account for your fears, account for what will come up internally, that's a game changer. So I've had a coach since April this year. My self-growth has been huge, like incredible. And the retreat was part of that process, where it was myself and one other as part of the group coaching, and he took us through self-discovery, setting our goals. And I can't go into the detail of the things that we did, but the whole process was vegetarian for the whole thing. I'm a carnivore. I was a carnivore, which he's pleased I've made some change. But that I felt incredible from that, and that's I'm still processing that one.
So working on that dilemma, right?
Indeed.
I want my meat.
Yeah, literally, right? But also the no technology. And I had clients, and we'll get into the business side soon, I'm sure. But I had clients, my biggest client, going live that weekend, and I had no technology at all. Fortunate to have a great team member who was there, and it all went fine, but getting towards that disconnect was great. And as you were mentioning around that direction, that self-learning, far more connected, and you'll learn I'm very into energy, soul, all of that. I was incredibly connected to who I see as my higher self, my 10 out of 10, my best version of me, my soul. And from that, I've been able to direct, concisely, focused, and go without the distractions interfering. and that's changed everything. And interesting you bring it up. I may or may not be on another retreat this weekend. Yeah, so
I know I can definitely, like I said, is you went to that retreat. You know, I was following you, seeing anything you're doing before, and but to me, across what you were tuned at that moment, from what I've seen 6 or 8 months sort of been following and look back, is that was a light switch moment in your path and yourself. You know, you did that. You just recently came back from Australia where you did the 2-day workshop with Grant Cardone. You went over that space, and I think you were at Sydney Harbour Bridge doing a walk meditation, right?
Yes.
Watching him do a walk meditation, find himself and finding the focus wherever else is just slightly distracted and everything.
Yes.
And I could see through all the noise and the world out there doing it, you're keeping true to yourself and keeping true to oneself and your inner self as well, which is great to see. And I know you are trying to keep that as a strong point for yourself going forward, because your strength will come if you've got bigger internal strength, right?
Yeah, and very well observed. Very well observed.
I do my research.
And like that comes back to something that I'm very passionate about around everybody's different, and I feel like everybody knows that. But in being different, do you know your energy sources? Do you know what makes you feel like you can conquer anything? Mm-hmm. And once you identify those things, as long as you do those every day, you feel pretty. Yeah. I can you feel incredible.
I'll challenge you on one word. I don't like the word different. You are unique.
Yeah.
There we go.
Yep.
You are yourself and only you.
Yes.
So
100%.
There we go.
Yep.
With different is sometimes seen as a negative word,
Yes.
depending on who you're talking to and the perspective. And a lot of what I challenge people is their understanding perspective, because they usually get out of line of what they think something is. So you're unique and yourself. So I would use that word to you, whether you want to use it to yourself or not.
I've got it locked in. You heard me come back on it. Yeah.
So there we go. It's great. As Josh was saying before, there's a business side to what you're achieving and your direction that you're pushing going at the moment.
Yeah.
Josh has a company called Chatbots. Yep. Correct? That's your company that you've been doing for, I don't actually know the life of Chatbots, but I do know that you were working on Chatbots as a side business. Yes. Have been for quite a period of time. Yep. You had a primary job that's really really well paying primary job. And Josh was brave, strong enough, and bold enough to say, I'm going to back my business and I am going to walk away from safety and comfort zone and going to say, I'm going to go down the path of, I'm going to 150% back my new business, my new brand and my new direction. Don't know the future, don't have certain amount of customers sign up, don't have the financial freedom that I have currently. So stepping back multiple financial years, you could say per se, and security perspectives as well by going that direction. But firstly, I take my hat off for being bold enough to take on that challenge. Yeah, you know. So talk us through that dilemma. I know you've got a post as well on social media about making that decision in the dark, in the car, publicly talking about it. Yeah,
I mean, that whole process, especially say like that financial side, going from, as you mentioned very well, a good position, to I've never earned that list. And as context, so Chatbots started with a good friend of mine, Giles. Him and I started that business together, which must have been about 2.5 years ago. And then I had another opportunity come up as another business. And then I went over there, and then I had something else, went over there, and then came back to this after seeing more clearly the opportunity. And I don't know what that difference was. I don't know what made me identify, really see the opportunity
Chatbots itself.
Yes.
I think, Chatbots, let's take it a step back first to explain to the people that are listening fundamentally. I understand what Chatbots is. A third of the people listening will understand what Chatbots is. Give us a basic understanding of what Chatbots is and where we would see the implementation currently today. Yeah,
so currently everybody knows email marketing. Email marketing, a good open rate, i.e. how many people actually read your message, is about 20.81%. Now, click-through rate is 3.57%, and those statistics are not incredible. Facebook posts, you get about 8.1% reach. You got 1,000 likes, 80 people see it. With chatbots, we utilize Facebook Messenger. Now, the difference is, as we were coordinating me coming here, we're talking on Facebook Messenger. That's where everybody's attention is. So companies can actually build a subscriber base on Facebook Messenger and then broadcast out to that audience. Open rates, we've had some companies get 100%, 99.74%, 90% consistently. So that's where it's brand new technology and taking the leap into it because I see the potential.
And to take another step, is it just directly messaging, or is it actually interaction and AI sitting behind it that gives the, hey, I'm so-and-so, or I'm a brand messaging you?
Yes.
I've got a couple of big pages I follow that has underlying chatbots or the technology that sits behind it. So they send you a deal or product, and depending on the options you pick, there's interaction between each messaging format. Right?
Yeah, so like if ever you send an email out to 10,000 people, you get 1% respond to that, that's 100 emails. I really put my math out there on display, but hopefully that's right. And then take off a few zeros. So that's a lot of manual resource to respond. What we're doing, as you mentioned, when you reply, it's automated. So that's where the kind of chatbot AI comes in. So there's that immediate communication, immediate customer service. And I mean, we live in a world where I want answers when I want them, based on me, not when somebody else is ready.
And it's like, bitch, please, I ain't going to wait 5 hours for you to respond to me. I message you back, it doesn't matter. If I message Barack Obama, he better message me back now, right?
Now, yes, sir.
And that's where this technology allows that's built in, that's smart, right? So there's interaction between the customer or whoever's building the relationship, and it's real time, and they feel there is something behind it, or there's not honesty, but they get the response they need. And I'm guessing underlying with that is the evolution of making sure that you guys it gets reviewed, gets evolved, that it gets more answers and better answers as it goes across. Right?
There's it's definitely not easy to do it yourself. It took me a long time to even learn how to do it, but there's the best practice. There's definitely and I basically if you break best practice, Facebook doesn't like it. And there's implications. So it can get very, very technical around it's conversational marketing, which you can be careful with.
So as we said, that's the product. You made the decision. Step away from security and safety and everything that tells you stay there. Launch that and transition over when it's the right space. And you said no. How that?
The whole world tells you kind of to stay. Get a corporate job, grow the corporate ladder. Security, all that stuff. Exactly, right? But there's, to that point, there's also, I think it's important to mention, not everybody's cut out to be an entrepreneur.
Correct.
Not everybody's there. It's like...
It's not made?
Yeah.
Correct. I truly believe that entrepreneurs are not made. You can be taught to learn a skill and to be good in social media and to do good on Instagram because it's an algorithm and it's statistics and it's analytics that sit behind it, and a photo done this way and a photo done that way would change it.
Black and white.
Yeah, correct. And it can be managed. But an entrepreneur itself, or true entrepreneur, challenge me and tell me I'm talking shit, but cannot necessarily be taught. It's built into our blood, into our bones and everything else. There's still days where I truly believe I actually am not an entrepreneur myself, even though I've launched multiple companies. Some have done decent, some haven't. And I sort of think myself not as a true one. I just think myself as pushing the boundaries some stages.
And I'll add to that around, so say like if you're number 10 at a company and you're growing with them, if that's kind of who you are, you'll be far happier doing that. You could be trained to be an entrepreneur, but if you're trained, most of the time it's not organically the environment your body, your soul is happy in. So perhaps it could be trained, but then and we'll go into this, mindfulness is huge for me. It could be a smooth transition, there we go. But in terms of what we want from life, ideally, I know for me, it's happiness. And I want to do what makes me happy, what makes me feel empowered, what makes me feel strong. And naturally for me, from what I'm finding, that is the entrepreneurial route. That is as I said, I love my challenges. There's nothing, I think, more challenging than that. And of course, family issues and things like that too also come up.
Yeah, I mean, you talk about happiness, and I spoke to someone, I met up with someone this week that's hopefully be on the show or actually in about 3 or 4 days' time. And we spoke about the understanding of not just, you spoke about the level of happiness, but the level of success as well, right? And this is a real fluid terminology, and depending on who you ask what it is, right? What is happiness? Happiness is I come home to a family and kids that love me and dogs that love me, and I can crack open a beer. That's happiness to some people. To other people, happiness is because I've got 8 zeros and behind a 1 in a bank account. Again, I don't know if that is that person. Yes, by all means, but I wouldn't say necessarily for happiness for myself. And as you said, mindfulness and inner strength is a big thing with people who talk about, is understanding what is actually happiness to yourself, understanding what is happiness to you, understand what is happiness to myself, and then chase that and build around that, right?
And not what society is telling you. Like entrepreneurship, and
it's niche and funky and it's cool at the moment. And, this all of this is an entrepreneurship. So people are going to say, hey, you call him bullshit because you call him bullshit on other people, but I'm doing it. I'm doing it because I want to do it, and it's because I like to do it. It's not saying this is calling me a success. But what I'm saying is this is what makes me happy, and I'm doing it. And if it's success comes from it, so be it.
Exactly. And that's where it's done from a genuine, authentic place. And I think that's where it comes to. I mean, entrepreneurship, we've had 10 years of sustained growth in the economy, and therefore being an entrepreneur has kind of grown to be this cool thing. From that, everybody's kind of jumping into it, and that's where I'm kind of showing a little bit how much Gary Vee I watch. But
don't worry.
I think a lot of people are guilty of that. But from that, when times do get tough, how do those people respond? And I think that will be where there could be a clean of the system.
Next 12 to 18 months, depending on what your opinions are, and I won't get into politics because I won't get into economics. I don't touch those spaces anyway. But the next 12 to 18 months, it's going to be interesting in and around, who are the true people that can stand up and handle depression, recession, correction, and anything like that. But it is, like you said, you listen to a lot of Gary Vee, brings out a few insights. Go into a little bit into that Gary Vee. Both of us are big Gary Vee fans. You went and saw over in Australia, NAC again, Michael Lane, big shout out. I saw the one in Auckland, and I was saw a post the other day on Gary Vee where someone had a challenge to him saying, 12 months ago, he said this, right? Produce content as much. For example, then now in 12 months later, he's now changing his direction around the content or how to do it and how to deliver it, and go to TikTok and go to LinkedIn and a few other things and a few underlying changes. What's your thoughts for yourself and what you considered and what you taught before is around Gary Vee? And we'll get a little bit into Gary Vee, which is quite interesting, is he seems to change every 6 to 12 months what he's saying. Yes. Is it because he's just changing with what the world's changing? Or do you think he actually knows correctly?
End of the day, he's a human being. He's going based on what he is seeing. And of course, the more information you gather, that changes. You make different decisions. And he's ultimately been trying to predict the future. And nobody can do that. And he's very open around. So a statistic on Gary Vee, he was offered the opportunity to invest in Uber very early on.
Correct.
3 times. 2 times. Either way, he said no to all of them.
Yeah.
But what he's seeing is shifts in attention as the underlying basis on what he's promoting to do. So in terms of these current things, are definitely TikTok and LinkedIn, because that's where more attention is gravitating towards.
Or it's cheaper from an organic reach point of view.
This is also true. So TikTok has a good viral component to the platform, and LinkedIn is showing more and more tendencies of what Facebook used to be. And LinkedIn used to be very professional, like very, very professional. That's shifting, big time.
I put all of this content gets linked into it, and definitely 10 years ago I couldn't put a link to these episodes because I'm cussing a few words and I'm saying shit and all the rest of the stuff, and LinkedIn will go, no, there's no possible way you can do that. No. It's definitely softened, but it's keeping, I do still like it as a platform because it still keeps honesty and it's about business, and I'm not being sold and I'm not seeing crap that people are just putting up there.
LinkedIn still has its tone. It's just in terms of what is allowed is shifting. And I think bringing it back to your question around where Gary Vee's kind of that change is these platforms, technology is very quick, and people's behavior does change. I mean, from sudden events, and that's through exposure and awareness. So on LinkedIn, as people see certain content, they then post more of that content that grows and reach exponentially, and now the platform shifts. TikTok as well. It's definitely the younger audience. Like, I had never heard of it, which really kind of made me feel dated. However, people's children they're all about TikTok. Like we were all about Facebook, and that's been a very quick, fast development.
MySpace.
Bebo, mate. Bebo with the top 16 friends. That was.
That's how you got unfriended from the top 15, 16 friends.
Yes. You see the people that sold Bebo.
And they bought it,
massively up, and then just bought it back, as you said, real low, as you can imagine.
But so it's totally an interesting space. So about the different platforms and things I've seen of where attention goes these days.
Yes.
So coming around to chatbots, you're talking about Facebook. It's through messaging platform. Does it provide technology in any other messaging platform, or is it only messenger based?
Currently, Facebook Messenger is the only platform with the API open, so you can't do too much if they've locked down the whole thing. What I'm expecting in terms of that industry, where a lot of companies, say even LinkedIn, Instagram with the inbox or the DMs,
slide into DM.
Yeah, that's the one. So actually, that's how I met my last girlfriend. That's another thing. I'm an open book. You get used to it. So I believe they're all looking to see how Facebook manages
that whole
platform.
Business,
And I can tell you now, it's very intense. The number of changes we're going through.
Yep. From the technology itself and
the rules.
So
they don't want to. Everybody has seen email. You know that. Like how many unread emails you got, and then they're trying to implement the other folder and stuff like that. Facebook Messenger and Facebook do not want it to become that.
Yep.
So they're putting rules in place. Now, previously, 12 months ago, I could send any message out to my audience so long as it wasn't promotional, like buy this, buy this, buy this. If you do that, you're out. Now it has to fit within certain things. So previously it was anything but promotional. Yep. Now it needs to be this, and then they've just restricted that even further. So in terms of coming back to around jumping into the business full time, that's one of those things, and you need that inner belief that you can do anything. And with that, especially on somebody else's platform, I can respond to any changes that are made. Yep. So through these challenges, I've built my mindset up to that point of, if somebody else can make money doing it and build a business, I can. If they can, I can do it better.
And where's the main platform or customer base you're looking for? Is it New Zealand based, or is it overseas based, anywhere at the moment?
Anywhere. So I've got customers in London. I mean, it can't get more of a difficult time zone than that. So customer in London, Australia, Bali. So it really is anywhere. The kind of the best suit is where you've got a lot of traffic. You already have a lot of traffic.
You've come in with a successful business, and then you can directly correlate it to depending on what the ticket item is at the end, right? Whether it's on purchase of a service or on purchase of a product, or coming back and so forth.
It's even things. So say you're mentioning around the AI. It can be where you get a lot of website traffic, and you've got the website chat. Now we can automate the conversation as Messenger on your website. Then people get the information immediately. The difference for a business is, previously you need to get the email address, their phone number to contact them. Well, they're now subscribed to Messenger. So they go to the website, they ask these questions. When they leave, you can still contact them. And we can automate that. So it's around, did you find what you're looking for on the website? So there's a lot of spaces around the opportunities. It's definitely easiest to just sit down and I can just tell you about the tech, learn about your business and say it's going to work or it's not. Sometimes it doesn't work, definitely.
It is. It's such an interesting space of where we're going into to closing deals or closing products with the businesses are doing these days, that things are instant and but it also comes down to the dilemma of, and I can imagine this is a question that you need to be controlled on, my data. Right? Yes. Okay, underlying data. Let's get down into that level, right? So my personal data, what it means, and how you're controlling that, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So is it that you have to follow the compliance within Facebook and therefore you're good, or is there built in within your own business underlying compliance of securing the data and personal data.
Yes, so you definitely have to follow Facebook policy. Since you're on their platform, then you are in line with what they need to be meeting from a security compliance standpoint. The next step is around my client and the business. What rules do you have in place? So GDPR, and if you don't know about it, you may not even need to know about it, but in that space, it's always asking permission. And that's where a lot of, like, as I said, people can learn to use the tech. However, the best practice is another service we come in around, do you even want to be contacted? What do you want to be heard about? What do you want to happen? So I mean, it's all about the person.
Oh, totally. And then, I mean, there's different things going into really deep underground, technology and compliance. You've got people's personal data that needs to be either hashed or saved on different databases, and depending when it gets sourced and outsourced and transferred, how many times it gets hashed, and
this man knows what talking my language.
And the security protocols and everything else. I've been 2 years in security in large companies, corporations, and doing compliance pieces, so understanding those challenges. And I can imagine it's not easy at all, because it takes one wrong step of someone doing it for one person's lucky enough, building up relationships. You make one whoopsie, it's okay, sorry mate, But you go into large American companies, and one John Smith somewhere out in, Wisconsin, he's one person's name gets out on an email at the bottom indirectly, and you screwed, right? Because breach of data breach and so forth, and the large companies are going through a lot of that space at the moment.
And it's definitely this is where it comes to the public voice is the strongest thing in the world. I mean, the public voice can manipulate, and not manipulate, that's the wrong word, but we are who they are trying to please. And if we're unhappy and we make a lot of noise about that, it shifts it. And this comes back to what I was talking about earlier on around coaches, mentors, people you can go to. This stuff, you don't just go and learn it and implement. You have somebody there who's been there and done it, because as you said, it only takes one person. So say last night my coach coordinated a Dragon's Den pitch.
I saw that.
And if you've seen Dragon's Den or Shark Tank, it's intense. So I was pitching Chatbots and just it's getting feedback on how well I can communicate what my company does. And 7 dragons there. Did I get investment? No. This is definitely a different context, but I'm definitely well prepared now for that opportunity. And the variety of questions, huge. And to have a network such as I have them, to get those questions from them as opposed to the end client, that's priceless. So big recommendation is definitely get somebody in your corner who you can learn from that aligns with who you are as a person as well as where you want to go in life.
I totally agree with that. It's a big thing these days, and I think it's Ty Lopez at the moment. I look a lot of him, and he's one of his number one rules is get a mentor. Get a mentor that is where you are in 20 years time. Some might get that guy in your corner where you got to pay him, you got to bribe him, fuck it, I don't give a shit, because he's going to give you 20 years of experience and show you how to get to that within 5 years. He's going to give you all the tips, the tricks and the changes from a business wise, but also fundamentally that is what a coach and a mentor does in your personal life and yourself at the moment. So
if you don't mind, I'll add to that around if you need to admire them as a person as well. If you take out all of their success, all the things they've achieved, admire that person and their tone, how they hold themselves, how they treat other people as an actual individual. Because ultimately a coach, yes, they can give you the answers and you need to do this to grow. However, a real coach helps you to find out, and this is my belief, a real coach helps you find who you are within yourself to grow. The knowledge is all within, and they help that to come out. They don't just say this. They can guide that and advise, but they need to help you grow. So having you connect with them as a person, like my coach is incredibly spiritual, meditates an hour a day at least, and really looks after himself mentally. And that's something that I absolutely love, because if you're mentally happy, the rest just works.
Yeah, it is an interesting one. I totally agree with you in that sense. But there will also be a space on the other side of the spectrum where people go, I just want to follow those steps. Right, this guy said this, and I'm going to follow those steps. I'll work hard and everything else. But it's whether I fundamentally agree that person is a like-minded person like me,
Yeah.
you build that relationship. But you can
Yes.
sometimes see it in business where guys build with a mentor, but at the end of the day, am I going to call him for a beer for a Friday? No, not likely, if you're down that space.
Yeah.
And that's where you're going to get caught out
Yes.
when you're in a dark moment and go, hey, mate, I need to step up. This is not part of our normal weekly call. It's not a part of this. I don't want you to charge me fucking $5,000 for this 1 hour call. I need just a small second of your time just to get me through a challenge. And and if you bonded correctly and you have that relationship that you're talking about, that's where they will step up.
Yes.
But if you go on the other spectrum, no, they won't.
And you need to set that intention from the beginning as well. If you're wanting, like I was wanting somebody not just to guide me through business, but guide me through life. Because if I can understand life, I'll be far happier. Again, coming back to that tone.
Do you believe they're the same person? Do you believe the same person can do both areas?
I believe for instance, this would probably answer the question. I have about 10 people I can turn to.
Mm-hmm.
So in terms of, everybody has their specialty.
Yeah.
For that coach in particular, it's definitely more life and then helping me at this stage grow the business. Yeah. However, I have other coaches where they have 20, 30, actually one of them has over $100 million business.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm at that stage, he's the one to talk to. Mm-hmm. So you find where you are in your journey, which again, somebody can help you with that, and then see who's best to go and speak to. And most coaches will say, or even somebody successful, I'm not the right person for that.
Yep.
But I can introduce you to who is.
Yeah. And a great thing we're doing at the moment is I'm hoping to have it in the next sort of month to 2 months is through this podcast series is I'm opening up some doors for some people that are interested around life coaching, motivation coaching program as well. Mm-hmm. I'm bringing on a big brand that will support the people that want to get into those areas or want to talk to some people. So at the moment I'm going through my own journey with Jolyn Swarford coaching, Jolyn Swarford that has been on the show before, and I'm hoping to in a sort of, like I said, in 6 or 8 weeks time, opening up some doors if listeners want to actually speak to the likes of Jolyn and find out some direction around their life as well as in different areas in the business. It'll be a great stepping stone in that space. So if you're listening now and it's something what we're talking about at the moment is something that is of interest to you, or you'd love to learn a little bit more, please put a comment, message or anything, or just hit me up and I'll send through some details around that as well. Yeah. But it is a nuanced space, a modern space at the moment to be able to say, hey, I've got 3 mentors, I've got 5 more mentors and this person's helping out that, where 3, 4, 5 years ago it was only the top execs. Yeah. Because it's more achievable in New Zealand and there's more people around in this small country of actually helping out, and we spoke about earlier before the show, a lot of what we do for honesty and we do for rawness and realness, right? Yes. So people are willing to help us because we're not here just to clip a ticket or make money.
Yeah, and a lot of those top people, if you're coming and saying I just want to build a massive business, it may not resonate. I mean, I know my coach, he wouldn't work with me unless I had a greater purpose, a greater goal for the world, and that he resonated with that. If that's not there, and it's also about energy exertion. I mean, they want to give out that time, but only for something that connects with them. Because it is two-way. You got
to relate to people. You know, going back to the very beginning part of the actual episode, got to relate to people. Myself and Josh didn't know each other, you know, and went up to him just speaking to him, and we learned so much from each other. And it's the same thing. I was actually thinking about it earlier today before the episode of challenging people when you're in situations at parties, at events, or just going out somewhere in the coffee shop. And you by yourself, or you're with a couple of friends, but you find yourself wandering or looking around or something like that, is go up to people and introduce yourself and talk and see what's going on. Because 1 out of 10 people, there'll be something there. Yes. Whether there's a knowledge transfer, there's a friendship that is building, there's something that comes from that, definitely that will happen 1 out of 10 times, I believe so, or if not more. Yeah. And it's at that stage is where you see real things happening, real sparks happening, and information going across the two different people, just like we did ourselves. Yeah. And without doing that, or being brave enough to have that discussion to say, hey, I'm me, who are you, and why are we here? It's the same sort of thing in business or in Facebook, Instagram. A lot of the people that's on the show that fundamentally I reached out and said, this is me, this is what I'm doing. Do you want to come on the show as well and do it? And 1 out of 10 people have said yes. So do that in your life as well, because you will only improve yourself by bringing people that sync with you in your same sort of vibe, and benefit your life.
A big piece towards that, so two things. Being very open. So what I was hearing from that is you're very, this is me.
Yeah.
And when you're and again, like these challenges as a result in that retreat, incredibly confident in who I am. So that's where I can say I'm very into my spiritual side. I'm very into energy. Take it or leave it. But when you put that out there and somebody's like, yes, that connection that you have is huge, like this. The other side is, say, if you aren't incredibly, say, confident in approaching people, there's certain techniques that I read one last week that I thought was absolutely genius. So at networking events and pieces like that, there are times when people are most scared. Because most people, if you're at a networking event, you're kind of like, I'm going to go do it, but there's that little bit of, how's this going to go? If you identify when those most scared times are, then you be the person to break that. Yeah. Then they like you, scientifically proven, they like you a lot more than if it was just a
3 days in or 3 hours,
so one of those is when you're there and you get your drink from the bar, when you turn around, that's when the moment comes of, is there going to be somebody to talk to? How am I going to go out? Because now I'm just here with a drink. But if you're stood there strategically, somebody grabs that drink, turns around and you say, oh, you tried that? Yeah, I'm trying to decide which drink should I get. And they say, oh, no, I haven't. I'm like, okay, give it a go, and so on. Immediately you're connected. You say, oh, I'll just grab my drink, and then how about, let's get to have a chat. So there are things that you can do which make it actually incredibly easy to have those conversations.
Especially at those events, fundamentally people at those events to build networks or to build relationships and everything else. It's just, get into that stepping stone. It's funny, it makes me think of when we went to day one, UPW, Tony Robbins 2 years ago.
Yeah.
The first day you walk into the massive event, there's 12,000 people. Joseph McClendon the third actually, talks about this on the second day. And it's, so everyone's walking through 12,000, everyone's looking around going, oh shit, there's so many people.
Yeah.
You don't want to say hi to anyone, it's just all really weird in that, and you do the whole day, and then on the second day when everyone's coming in, everyone's walking through doors like, fuck, I'm here, what's up, high five, and it's loud just that loud and proud, and it's because that's that moment. So it's literally getting through that first breakthrough moment, and then align a person, the other people around it, to get to that place where they're happy and build the relationships and the contacts. And it's a great point you're talking about, being at the bar when someone's going for a drink, to break the ice at that stage.
Yeah, and there's tons of those. And we live in a world where if I have a question, I just go on Google and I can search that up.
Yep.
So really, it might sound harsh, but there really aren't many excuses. You can go and find the information out. And we live in a great time where a lot of people want to share this information. Like the whole reason I'm on here is sharing my journey and stuff that hopefully I can inspire somebody to go and do something that will help them grow, help them make a bold move.
Yeah.
And bold moves is what grow you as a person and help you towards hyper growth too.
Yeah. So as we get into the sort of the end of the episode, I think I'm looking over and it's already almost 50.
Really quickly.
I think it's like 45 or 50 minutes or something already. Is there anything you wanted to just cover off right at the end? Anything about yourself, your journey, your brand, Chatbots, before we all come to an end point?
A deep purpose of mine. So one, you may or may not know. So I've nearly finished writing a book on the techniques that have helped me to be happy. Basically, it's scientifically proven. You can, through regular exercises, you can change your brain's makeup towards being happier. Now, in all theories with the stuff that my family's been through, which I think we'll probably talk about more after, but and all that, there's no way I should be where I am, and there's no way I should be happy, that's for sure. Tons of stuff. But if you want to know more about that, you can just reach out. I am open, but maybe not on this forum. But through that, you can do things to be happy, even though the whole world is going, the world has been against you, but you can still be happy. So that would be like my biggest message. And in terms of achieving that, I can help. That's one of the areas that's my long game. That is my long game of happiness being taught in schools, whether it's in the school or just to the youth is the general goal. Yeah.
And talking about happiness being taught, we spoke to Charlie DeHaas, based out in Mount Maunganui, about 3-4 podcasts before, and she was talking about also in the school something we're not taught about is failure, right? So learning how to handle success. You're talking about being happiness. Where do you see in your education of happiness?
Yes.
Would you see an underlying line of how to handle or overcome failure?
Oh, definitely. You need to have that perspective of, I've had a blessing and I can now raise my game. Mm-hmm. That's not going to happen to me again. The old me, that was going to happen, and it did. Whereas now, I know it's not going to. The other is deciding, and there's a big lesson in trying versus just doing. Yep. Trying takes up a lot of energy. It's on the list for later and so on. That's an energy leak. Whereas if you just decide, I'm doing this, done. And for me, that was, I'm going to look at everything positive. Done. So whenever there was those failures, and I've had tons, as I think everybody has, you need to. That's just fact. You actually need to go through that. And with a positive frame of mind, it's that connection of, cool, I've just upgraded. I've gone up a level. Every time there's a failure, I've grown. And through that comes towards the happiness place of, when there's a failure, I as a person have improved. Yeah, that's a good thing. That makes me happy. Because you are and who you are, no matter what. Like, in terms of, you look at Bill Gates, although he's had all this success, who is he at this exact moment, and what are his habits? The habits is what continues growth. If you've had great success but don't continue the habits, so it's in who you are, and only through failure can you actually get that. That's
great. I think it's a great point to end off on the show today, Josh, and thank you so much. Before we get to it, as always, I do, please let our listeners and our viewers know where they can get hold of you, what your social handles are. Just let them know.
The Instagram's definitely my main area. Regular stories, you caught me doing one before. So it's just Josh_Lewthwaite. That's Josh_Lewthwaite. But you're welcome just to add me on Facebook as well. On Messenger of all things, just Joshua Lewthwaite. Last name stands out like a sore thumb. I'm sure we'll put spelling up.
So no, the handles all go out as part of when I release it out anyway, so don't worry, I'll let everyone know. And just to end it off, again, Josh, thanks so much for coming on and having your say today.
So much, man.
And to everyone else listening, thanks again for coming over to the Wolf of Queen Street on the audio. If you listen on podcast at the moment, thank you so much. And if you're on YouTube, please make sure you put a like and a comment. I need to help me grow this platform so people can listen to our message as well on LinkedIn, Facebook, and across Instagram. You know where to find us. And anyway, have a powerful day. Chat to you soon.